Greetings and welcome. This is a guided healing tarot and Pokémoncy reading. Welcome back. It is Sachi the Seer. It's been a while. I've been really feeling called to do more psychic readings. So hopefully this will be the first of many that are soon to come. All right, so let's talk about what came out in the cleansing ceremony. We had the Three of Swords, the Ace of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, the Moon, and Strength. And while we're at it, let's get some light in here. Yeah. And maybe you've been feeling that things are really coming to light for you, especially with the moon there. Things may have been hidden, but not really any longer. So we start with the Three of Swords, which is interesting because as I was cleansing for this reading, I was feeling a lot of heaviness in the heart space. So it feels like there is something that has kind of burdened your heart. It doesn't feel, even though the Three of Swords is typically pain, it feels like it's heavy because you haven't felt that pain fully in order to let it go. With the Ace of Cups in reverse, it feels like there was some sort of emotional new beginning that you may have invested in and it didn't pay off. It kind of feels like you were not emotionally fulfilled. There could have been some aspect of emotional manipulation or emotional control in this situation. But the good news is we have the Wheel of Fortune. It looks like divine timing was at play because we have the Mayan clock, which has a lot to do with cycles and new beginnings, right? The end of the calendar is the new beginning of the cycle. So it kind of feels like things are really moving forward for you, right? The fortunate thing is that you're out of it now. It does feel like it's over, which is, very good. But again, we do have the moon. So there is some very subconscious energy here. The moon can be things that are kind of hidden, but it feels like you are recognizing all of these things that you didn't see before. Again, the notion of like turning the light on, it kind of feels like you're like, oh, now I can see clearly. However, it's interesting because I was getting this message at the very beginning as I was cleansing. It was kind of like there was so much light that you couldn't see properly. It's not that you were in the dark. It was actually that there was too much light. And then once that light was gone, and I don't want to call it false light because that's so, I don't know, it's overused, but it was just so much light to the point that the shadow was completely negated. It's like you didn't see the shadow, right? It's kind of like full moon energy. You don't see the shadow. And then now, once you have actually embraced the shadow aspects of things and have seen it, now things are actually coming to light, if that makes sense. That's the energy I was feeling. And then we have strength. So we have that this has been a test of your strength. This is ultimately making you a stronger person. I am hearing that part of this cycle is realizing that you don't need to keep going through situations that make you a stronger person. There's something about kind of avoiding the situations when they first present themselves so that you don't always have to be the strong one. You don't always have to kind of have this burden, right? Because strength in general, right? How do your muscles get strong? They get strong from lifting more and more weights, right? Going against the force of gravity. And the same can be said about the heart, right? How does the heart get strong? It breaks, just like other muscles, right? It rips. But it kind of feels like, yeah, part of the cycle is recognizing like, okay, I really shouldn't have to keep going through that. Then we have Alolan Ratatat coming out using Bite. So this is some dark energy and Bite. So it feels like the shadow aspect here may have, bitten you. This may have also influenced your eating habits. With Trainer Trick Shovel, Trainer indicates the other person. It feels like the other person deceived you, tricked you. And Alolan Ratatat is also known as a trickster. And then with Auduno using Hearing, it feels like you're finally hearing things clearly. Maybe your clairaudience has also come online. And with Trainer Grass Memory in reverse, it feels like what you're hearing, it's kind of like memories of the past, but you're realizing that it wasn't done in love. Like it kind of feels like your heart is recognizing everything that happened in the past and what the actuality of it was and how you were duped, how you were tricked. And the Trick Shovel is very similar to this Ace of Cups in reverse. It feels like trickery, manipulation, coercion, lying. So let's see what's going on. All right, that's the energy that's being cleansed through this reading. And I really am not surprised to see the Three of Swords, that it was the first one that popped up. I was even seeing Three of Swords imagery, not from this deck, but from other decks, as I was doing my cleansing. So what we're going to do is take a look at, where you are now and the path forward in order to heal this energy. All right, so let's see where you are now. Okay, that wanted to come out very quick. We have Messenger of Coins, Six of Cups, and the Wanderer. Okay, so it seems like you are actually really focused on your finances with the Messenger of Coins. Maybe you came here because you wanted to receive messages about how to improve your business or how to improve your career or finances in general. But it feels like you're very focused on the material realm right now, and you're trying to make things blossom. With the Six of Cups, it feels like there could be some familial kind of energy, or some type of person from, right? Six of Cups is like the nostalgic connections from the past. So it can indicate that there is something regarding finances or money around someone else. The energy I get here is mother-child. So it kind of feels like one person either is a child, or maybe you're very concerned with taking care of a child, or it's someone from the past that feels like they were a child to you. Maybe someone that you parented, even if they were an adult. And this card also gives me this energy of sense of safety. So, it's like these tigers are here, right? They're wild animals, but they're in the backyard of this Taj Mahal looking home. No one's going to mess with them, right? So there's this aspect of environment and safety within the environment here. And then we have the Wanderer. So it looks like you are starting fresh in some sort of way. And we felt that in the cleansing ceremony too. It was like, you went through this thing, now it's the Wheel of Fortune, things are finally moving forward, that energy's behind you. So it feels like right now, you kind of feel like there's this realm of possibility, a lot of new energy. You're kind of starting from scratch at the 0 point, which the Wanderer is like the Fool, right? It's a 0 card. So, but the thing is, it feels like you're not a fool. You're wandering, and it feels like you recognize that you wandered from your path for a while. And you're recognizing with the Fox Spirit here how you were tricked to wander from your path. All right, let's see what's the light energy here. We have Fletchling using Growl. It feels like you're being a little bit more aggressive with your communication here, because Fletchling is a flying type, which represents air element communication. So it feels like, you're a little bit more aggressive. It is the tiny Robin Pokemon. I feel like you were robbed a bit, not a whole lot, but you still were robbed, like a tiny amount. And that's probably what's making you rather aggressive. It's kind of like you're this big tiger and you're growling. It says this amiable Pokemon is easy to train, but when battles are joined, it shows its ferocious side. Yeah, I feel like in general, you're pretty amiable, but when you're put in this position where it feels like a battle, you start getting ferocious, and again, you start growling. It feels like, how do I want to put it? Like growl, right? Growl is what you do right before you actually do something harmful, right? Like a dog will growl at you before it bites to tell you like, hey, stay away. Same with the tiger. The tiger will growl at you to say like, give me my space or whatever. And it kind of feels like that's where you're at. You haven't snapped. All right, let's see what's the shadow here. Auduno hearing, yeah. Again, it feels like your clear audience is really coming online. You are probably hearing a lot. Again, the shadow aspect, right? So you're able to. It's interesting energy. It feels like when you hear it in your mind, you're able to see it clearly. And it feels like that's what's going on. You're hearing these things, and then your third eye is able to see it. And it says, using the feelers on its ears, it can tell how someone is feeling or when an egg may hatch. So your empathic abilities are also very heightened. You can tell how someone else is feeling. So again, we did see, someone else's energy, likely that person who tricked you. And you can probably tell how they are feeling about the situation. You might have some sort of, psychic connection with them in some way. But it's also talking about when an egg may hatch. And eggs hatching, right? That's like the wonder. That's the beginning. So it kind of feels like that something is about to take off. Like you can really feel that something is about to take off or something is about to give birth. And yeah, it feels like you're getting these messages about it. Oh, okay. And steel type. Yeah, you're being very protected. You're being very protective and protecting of this egg. So it feels like you are, again, starting over. You have this egg of possibility. This deck that I'm using is even called the Cosmic Seed. And I love this deck. It's a new deck. And it's all about the, infinite celestial possibilities. And it kind of feels like that's where you're at. You're protecting this new beginning. It feels like you're also being very protective of what you listen to, whether it's media or social media, music, things like that. All right, so we see this is where you are. Let's take a look at, we'll do what's going on, with the wound, a little bit more detail of the wound, and then how to heal it, okay? The Chariot, the Star, and the Mastery of Wands. Okay, so the wound, again, there is something about the mother aspect. We have the Cancer constellation up here with the Chariot. So it kind of feels like, again, how you mothered a situation or something like that. Like the wound is within the Cancer constellation. So wherever the Cancer constellation is in your chart, whether you have placements there or not, it feels like that's where this is coming from. And, when we think about the Cancer constellation, there can be so many siphons there because it is the womb, right? It's the cosmic egg. It's where things are birthed. So it kind of feels like, and even the star, it's literally in the stars of the Cancerian star system. So again, it feels like the wound is in how this mothering energy was taken from you by the Mastery of Wands, by deception through magic, by trickery and things like that. I'm also feeling like the wound is moving on when it comes to the Chariot, moving on and in alignment, especially with the Mastery of Wands. Typically, the Mastery of Wands, right, it's the highest form of divine masculine energy as it relates to your firepower and magic and vital force and things like that. But honestly, because it's a wound, it feels like, again, using magic for deception or trickery or things like that. And it's kind of like, how do I move on when I thought that it was aligned, that I thought that it was this, only to find out that there was some aspect of deception. Let's see, what's the light energy? Honestly, from the Mastery of Wands, there could have even been some sort of black magic energy that was going on. Okay, the wound is in the solar plexus. So the wound, yeah, in the solar plexus, it kind of feels like who's in the driver's seat almost of alignment. And the solar plexus relates to the ego, the identity, your sense of self. So it kind of feels like, yeah, there was someone else in the driver's seat kind of telling you how to align and who you are and who you should be and trying to dictate your inner narrative almost. Let's see what's the shadow here. Some of it can also be astrologically, false astrological imprints here, because we do have the emphasis on the actual stars here. And then we have Gotharita using Psybeam and Growlithe using Smash Kick. So Gotharita, in the shadow, this is psychic energy in the shadow using Psybeam, which is very psychic. So again, it feels like psychic manipulation through magic and deception that gave you, again, it was like through your mind, gave you some weird solar plexus distortions. And even though Cancer, right, the Cancerian star system holds the womb space. And not that the solar plexus is the womb, but right, it's the belly. So it definitely feels like there's something there. It says, starlight is the source of their power. At night, they mark the star positions by using psychic power to float stones. And it's called the manipulate Pokemon. Yeah, the wound is that you were manipulated. And it's talking about using star power to mark positions. Yeah, starlight is the source of their power. At night, they mark star positions. So again, there is something specifically about these stars themselves. We have literally the Cancer constellation, the star. This is talking about the stars. And Growlithe, Smash Kick. So Smash Kick always gives me some sort of, kind of destructive energy, that things were kind of like destroyed or ruined in some sort of way. And it is fire type, which again relates to wands. It's your firepower, your vital force. And Growlithe is known as the puppy Pokemon. And puppies, dogs, right? A lot of the medicine that comes through dog spirit, puppy spirit, is loyalty and pack mentality. So it feels like the wound was, again, a false identity, thinking that you were part of some sort of group or pack, only to discover that you were actually, deceived in some way, manipulated. It says a Pokemon with a loyal nature. It will remain motionless unless it is given an order by its trainer. Yeah, so again, it feels like you were loyal to the wrong person, who may have siphoned from your womb energy and even distorted your own sense of self and your solar plexus. And it feels like this is definitely a wound through the maternal lineage of getting duped by manipulators who give a false sense of self. And it's also talking about remaining motionless unless it's given order by a trainer. So this gives me very much like false willpower. It's kind of like maybe you felt you couldn't move forward until someone gave you the okay, or someone, it's like there was some aspect of manipulation that you felt like you couldn't do anything without them telling you to, or doing something else. All right, let's see how we can heal this wound. Six of Swords, Eight of Cups. Interesting. It feels like the conversation needs to, it's not that it's going to end, but it's like right now you need to take your swords, your mindset, and leave. It kind of feels like your mind needs to not keep dwelling on this and needs to go to calmer shores. This card specifically represents kind of taking what's yours, recognizing that like the fight or the battle or whatever isn't over, right? You're still taking those swords. You know you're going to need them later, but you're going somewhere that's more beautiful and safe and things like that. So it kind of feels like getting away from this situation. And then with the Eight of Cups, it's very interesting. The Eight of Cups in this deck, I feel a little different than the typical Eight of Cups. This feels more like an emotional initiation through it definitely has something to do with psychic power and the ability to see. There's some sort of, wow, and it just got so bright outside. Yeah, it was just storming here all day, and now it's like super beautiful. And that's exactly how it feels, this kind of rainbow energy, going to calmer shores and brighter areas. And again, with the Eight of Cups, it's like, this is an initiation spot. It's almost like a portal. Like you go in there to learn something. And there's something about the balance between being hidden, right? Kind of this esoteric, almost gate-kept, right? Spiritual information that is gate-kept in its essence by itself, not that you're doing it. And then we have Peacock Spirit, which is all like, look at me, and very much focused on being seen. So there's this aspect of being seen, but kind of keeping the esoteric aspect of it private. It's very interesting. Let's definitely get more information on that. What's the light energy here? Double colorless energy. Yeah, and it's going right here. The connection has lost its color, and it feels like that's why you're moving on. And then going right to the Eight of Cups, and it's going into the shadow area, even though it's in, it's in the light. is Spiritomb using Nightmare. Yeah, it feels like that's the part of the revelation, is recognizing that even though things looked beautiful and bright, again, I got that at the beginning, like, oh, things were so bright, but it was actually a nightmare. Very interesting energy. And yeah, it's a dark type. It says it was bound to a fissure of an odd keystone as punishment for misdeeds 500 years ago. Okay, so there could definitely be some karmic aspect, karmic punishment of something that happened clearly in previous lifetimes. It's talking about 500 years ago, and it's talking about an odd keystone, and we're literally in like an ancient temple where odd keystones would be. So I'm definitely getting, again, there is some esoteric aspect of of punishment for something. Let's get some more information on that, whether it's punishment that you endured by embracing this nightmare, or if this other person is getting punished. Let's see if we can get some more information. What's the shadow here? Okay. Going right to the wound is the dark energy. Okay, so it feels like this dark energy was actually your wound. So you may have a punishment program running. I feels like that's what it is, that you deserved to be punished for something, and then it materialized as this punishment of someone manipulating you and using you and things like that. And it's not, again, it's not that you specifically, you know, hold the belief of like, oh, I deserve to be punished, but there's a program likely running in the solar plexus that you are bad in some way, or you did something bad and, you know, punishment is necessary or whatever. And these programs can run very deep, again, even across lifetimes. Very interesting. We have parasect using colorful spores. Again, yeah, parasect is parasitic energy. So it's a dark program in the wound of parasitism. And that's exactly what I was getting from the Cancerian star system of, you know, having so much creative energy, that womb space, that parasites that can't do that will just take from it. Take, and siphon. So it's very interesting. And even if we look at the parasect card, it looks almost like he's in a lab. And it's talking about 500 years ago. Again, this feels like ancient technology that was used to find you and punish you. Yikes. Okay, it says the larger the mushroom on its back, the stronger the mushroom spores it scatters. And this is also heart chakra energy. And it's talking about the larger the mushroom grows. So this is running through the fungal network. And, you know, Hydra, which runs through the fungal network, is right next to the Cancerian star system as well. So you might have, if you do have planets in the Cancerian star system, they might be aligned with stars of Hydra, which would definitely explain what's going on even more in depth. It says the larger the mushroom grows. So it feels like something kept growing, right? It's like there was this fungal program in the heart and it kept growing and then it spored everywhere, right? And spore is like multiplication. So it feels like this parasitic energy, you know, fed off of you and then was able to like replicate and kind of go into other areas of your life. I do want to continue. I'm just going to move these over and do one more area. Okay, what is the first actionable step of healing this? Because this felt more like, you know, kind of revealing even more of what's happening. So it feels like in terms of healing it, it's like, okay, you know, you need to get away and go somewhere else. Recognize it as a nightmare. Recognize it as some sort of initiation of understanding deeper into the esoteric aspect. Recognize that it's your own shadow program of punishment and parasitism on your heart. And it feels like that's what it is. It truly ran through your heart, which is very Cancerian, the breast, right? It ran through your heart and then it spored and was able to kind of take over your solar plexus in a way. All right, what's the first actionable step? How do we heal this? Ooh, the cosmic seed and the 4 of coins. Well, I love to see the cosmic seed. Again, it's kind of like that egg energy of, it's like letting the wind take you somewhere else. This is really surrendering to the divine completely and letting things go where they need to go. I know surrender is definitely not the easiest thing to do, but that's exactly what it feels like. And it's like, right, this is the seed of the dandelion. And the dandelion, right, when it's yellow, represents the sun. When it turns to seed, it represents the moon. And then when it poofs, right, into a bunch of little seeds, when the seeds disperse, it represents the stars. And so it really does feel like there is some aspect of letting go of that and moving on. And again, letting the divine wind take you. And this card in this deck is the 22 card, right? And usually it ends at 21. So this is after the world. And it represents more of the, right, it's beyond the world. This is the cosmic aspect. So understand that everything is in cosmic order in a way, based on certain things that for whatever reason you had to learn, as painful as they may be. But again, that is part of the cycle that I was picking up on in the beginning, is like, you've learned that I don't need to learn lessons through deception and pain anymore. I don't have to learn lessons that make me stronger. Like, I'm strong enough. It's kind of what it feels like. And then we have the Four of Coins, which again kind of ends where we started. It feels like, with the Messenger of Coins, you really have been focused on your finances. And it feels like with the Four of Coins, that's exactly the thing to continue to work on, is your financial security, the home space as well. And he is, I don't want to say doing yoga, but basically, I don't think that's a specific yoga pose. Maybe it is. And it feels like also, getting in tune with your body so that your body is very stable. This is not just lifting weights, right? Strength. This is flexibility. This is, minor muscle control sort of thing. It kind of gives energy of things like yoga and Pilates, things that use all these fine-tuned muscles, not just the, the quote unquote regular workout machines at the gym kind of thing. So it feels like really getting more in connection with your body, being solid in your body. And I'm also getting like part of the surrender is getting more into your body so that you notice things more, so that you notice what your body is telling you more. Okay, that wanted to come out. What's in the light here? Wow. Gotharita again. Okay. Going right to Cedra, which is the knockout needle. So emotional energy, knockout needle. Yeah, what I was saying, like, kind of be more in your body. It feels like your emotional waters may want a quick fix. And like knockout needle gives me the energy of like anesthesia, right? Of like, oh, just give me something that will kind of take me out of my body. And that can be a propensity when dealing with things like manipulation and betrayal and kind of seeing things for what they really are. But it feels like you're meant to go deeper into your body and not try to escape from it. It says, it is capable of swimming backwards by rapidly flapping its wings-like pectoral fins and stout tail. Yeah, it feels like you have the ability to go backwards if you want, right? You can go back into, emotionally numbing, or whatever it may be, right? But you can still do, like, you don't want to swim backwards. That's the thing. You're fully capable of doing that if you want to, numb yourself. That kind of feels like the opposite of what the Six of Swords is saying. And you can do that if you want, okay? But with Fortunate Eye and Smack, if you want to be more fortunate, which again, with the Four of Coins, it does feel like fortune is part of this, like material fortune. And Smack, you kind of have to smack your third eye. You kind of have to give yourself a little bit of a smack so that you don't knock yourself out emotionally, so that you don't numb your emotions. Allow yourself to feel them and go deeper into your body and, move that energy through things like yoga, or I mean any kind of movement you can do. I mean, not any kind, specific movements that help move specific emotions. It doesn't have to be yoga or Pilates or anything, but it does feel like bodily movement is very important. It says starlight is the source of their power. At night, they mark the star positions by using psychic power to float stones. Yeah. So it feels like, again, using the actual stars themselves. This definitely feels like true sky astrology stuff, like actually tapping into the luminaries themselves. If you don't know your true sky astrology information, that is something that I offer. All that can be found in the description box below. All right, we have Honehenge coming out in the shadow. What else in the shadow? Fighting energy, stuck. So it feels like, yeah, if you keep fighting the energy, you're going to end up stuck. And that's not really what you want. You don't want to get stuck. You want to let the divine wind take you. And with Honehenge using Pierce, it feels like there's also this aspect of, like, this is steel type. Steel type represents protection. It feels like there is, yeah, something's like penetrating your protection. But this is the advice of what to do. It kind of feels like you have to, okay, you have been using certain protection mechanisms, and maybe part of it is numbing yourself in some sort of way. And you need to pierce through your own protection mechanism so that you actually feel these things and are capable of moving on. Again, if you just keep numbing yourself, you're going to get stuck. And like if you keep fighting it by numbing it, you're going to get stuck. So this is something that really does need to be felt. It says, apparently this Pokemon is born when a departed spirit inhabits a sword. It attaches itself to people and drinks their life force. Yeah, this is going to keep drinking your life force. This sword, right? And the sword, right, is this kind of conversation, or the mental space. It's the air element. It's whatever the story that's going on. And we also saw the swords, right? We're like in the Three of Swords. That's what's coming to mind. It's kind of like these swords in the heart. And it's talking about a departed spirit. So again, it feels like it's someone that's not even around, but their sword is still kind of in your heart, and you need to not fight that. It's like the only way to, this is what it feels like, okay? It feels like you protected your heart, but the sword is still there. You didn't remove it before you put the protection up. So it's almost like you have to put that shield down, pull the heart out, and then you can protect it again. That's what it feels like. All right. And if you don't know how to protect yourself properly spiritually, I am going to be hosting a protection class on July 12th. All the information can be found in the description box below. That's going to teach you over 20 different ways to spiritually protect yourself, how to tell if you aren't properly spiritually protected, and much more. You can click that link and find out. I feel like there's one more that wants to come out in the shadow here. Yeah, psychic energy in reverse. It feels like this is not something that you can fix with psychic energy. Okay, it's good that you're here for the reading to be able to see it properly, but this is not something that you can just do energetically or do with your mind. This is literally something you have to do with your body. You have to get it out of your body. This can't be done with energy work. This actually has to be done with physical movement. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, let's get some oracles to close this off. Woo! The Eye of the Needle in reverse. Intentionality. So yeah, intention is not everything. Intention is not everything. And I feel like that's it. Look how similar that is with the eye in there. You can't just intend to heal this. You actually have to do the physical things in order to heal this. It's not about the intention, it's about the resulting action. Okay, you know how people say like, oh, intention's everything, or you know, it's the thought that counts. No, it's not the thought that counts. That's exactly what this is saying. It's not about thinking it, it's not about visualizing it, it's not about getting energy work or this or that. It's literally about intentional movement. It's about the physicality. And wow, the other card that came out, stars in the sky. I literally have been talking all about the relationship to the actual stars, and I'm really feeling that here, that True Sky Astrology can be like a huge help. Wow, and the hearing went right to the steel type. Maybe some things that you're hearing you need to protect yourself from as well, you know, psychically. Stars in the sky, limitless possibility. And that's also what I felt with the Wanderer here, right? It felt like the cosmic possibility of unlimited potential, as I think what I said. And I feel that as well. I think it's time for you to actually learn about your specific stars and actually know, again, constellations are very culture dependent, right? Different cultures all around the world have different ways that they connect the dots. However, the dots themselves hold specific energy, and many cultures have the same way of interpreting the energy of the stars. And even when you can channel information from the stars or even astral project there, it's concrete data, and it feels like there is this aspect of really understanding the stars to understand yourself better, especially what is happening in the Cancerian star system for you. Like, it really feels like there's something there. Okay. And again, limitless possibility. That also reminds me of the cosmic seed. Like, you are meant to allow the unlimited possibilities to really take you somewhere else right now. Let's take a look in the dark mirror for help with some shadow work. Triumph of lies in reverse and blinded to pain. Yeah, again, the thing is, obviously we know you were manipulated and lied to, but it's coming out in reverse. Like, you no longer are being manipulated by someone who is constantly lying to you. Okay? They are no longer king or queen. You're no longer working under aspects of deception. However, it does seem like you are blinded to your own pain. And that's what this feels like. You've been blinded by protecting yourself from it through kind of knocking yourself out, whether it's sleep or drugs or whatever it may be, or constantly eating, whatever it is, it's really disconnecting you from your own body. And you need to remove this pain. And as they say, you have to feel it to heal it. And that's exactly what I'm getting there. All right, and then let's get one last oracle, some lights. All right, yes, just say yes. Just say yes. If you had a yes or no question, the answer is yes. And it kind of feels like saying yes to the light, like the true light. Like, you're finally actually seeing what is really going on here after this quote unquote false light that didn't let you really see the shadow programs of what was going on. And again, the shadow program is that it was an absolute nightmare. And that's that. All right, my dears, thank you so much for joining. I hope you got what you needed, and all my links for private readings and courses and astrology is all in the description box below if you feel called. I'm sending you so much love, a big hug, and a kiss on your third eye. Mwah.